This is Late Night Health. This is the radio show that cares about the most important part of your life, your health. Hi, I'm Mark Alyn. During the next 2 hours, you're going to meet some fascinating people as we talk about everything from sex to how to stay young, fit, and trim as Late Night Health takes to the air. During hour number 2, we're going to be talking with a woman who has actually started a new insurance company. It's an alternative health insurance company. It's a company that is designed to cover things like chiropractic, aromatherapy, and others. We'll be talking with Carrie Gray during hour 2 here at Late Night Health. We're going to begin by going to Charleston, South Carolina, as we talk with Dr. Mickey-Barber. Michael is in quotes, and Mickey is also in quotes. Dr. Mickey-Barber, age management specialist, not only to the South, but here on Late Night Health. Her job is to keep us young and fit and trim. Dr. Barber, welcome to Late Night Health.
Hi, Mark. Thanks so much.
We're going to talk about if it's ever too late to start trying to reverse the aging process, or at least slowing it down. I guess the first question is, can we stop that aging process? Can we reverse it?
Well, we certainly can reverse the effects of aging that we sort of contribute to quote-unquote normal aging. Now, obviously, we're going to get older, but we don't have to pay the price that we sort of associate with getting older.
And some of those things would be
well, chronic disease, for one, Alzheimer's, dementia, heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, osteoporosis, osteopenia.
Oh, look what we have to look forward to as we grow older.
Right. But it doesn't have to be our destiny, Mark. That's what's really exciting, I think. You
and I talked a couple hours ago, and I mentioned watching TV shows in the 50s. Donna Reed Show, Ozzie and Harriet, Father Knows Best. Mm-hmm. Did I say Donna Reed? All these actors who, in their 40s, were playing moms and dads, and forget the fact that Mom always had a string of pearls around her neck, and she wore a dress. But Donna Reed, who looked great. She was in her late 30s, early 40s when she did that show. Carl Betts was. I can't even imagine how old Robert Young was at the time when they were, doing these TV shows in the 50s. And my point is that I think I look better than they do, and I'm older than they did. I'm older than they were.
Right. Well, you do. And aside from the bad hair that they had back then,
yeah, it's true.
I think, we certainly have come a long way, and we have even further to go in really affecting us from the inside and the aging process, which really gets reflected on the outside. So what we do every day, eating, nutrition, exercise, et cetera, really affects how we look to people in general.
And the way we look and feel to ourselves.
Absolutely, which is so important. And that's, to go back to what you said at the beginning, it's never too late to get started. And that's sort of something I feel real strongly about, is that, you're never too old or too sick or too overweight to get started.
The other day in my neighborhood, I was driving. I should have been walking, but I was driving to a supermarket, and I saw a very large man. I mean, he topped 350. Mm-hmm. He was tall, but he did not carry his weight well because it was all in front of him. He was at least 350 pounds. And I was thinking, God, I'm proud of him. At least he's out walking. Absolutely.
And you have to start somewhere. And, I've had patients that all I could get them to do was sit in a chair and just extend their leg like a leg lift just from sitting in a chair. And that might not seem like a big deal, but for that person, that was the first step towards a healthier life.
What else can we do? I mean, if somebody is 80 years old and they eat red meat every day of their lives,
Mm-hmm.
they're 80 years old. Do they have to give up the red meat at
Right.
that point?
Yeah, you have to weigh it out, and you have to. My mother's going to be 90 on Saturday, and my mother-in-law is 91. So, I know that age group pretty well, and there are certain things that they're not going to change. And I always tell people, okay, so absolutely, what is the one thing that you will not change no matter what? And everybody has that thing, and that could be it. I'm not going to give up red meat, or I'm not going to give up my wine at night, or whatever that is. And then you have to work around it. So what's one healthy thing that we can do this week that you're not doing now?
Can one thing counter the other? In other words, if I exercise, can I eat more red meat? Or doesn't it work that way?
The favorite line is, you can't out-exercise a bad diet. And I think that's true to a certain extent. Now, if you're having lean red meat every day and you've been eating it all of your 80 years, my guess is that you're doing something else right.
I would agree with that. My father-in-law, who's not quite as old as your mom, my father-in-law will be 90 in November, and he loves hot dogs. Mm-hmm. And so my mother-in-law still regulates how many he's allowed to eat in a week. And I said, why? Yeah. Why? He's 89 and a half years old.
Well, because it's never too late, right?
I guess you're right. You're right. We're speaking with Dr. Mickey-Barber. She's an age management specialist, a board-certified age management specialist. We're talking about slowing down the aging process, even if you're in your 80s or 90s. Is there? We all know people who are couch potatoes. Mm-hmm. And they're in their 80s. Mm-hmm. If they were to get up and walk around the block, would that help them? Would it make them feel better, or is it too late for them?
No, it'll absolutely help them. In fact, there have been a couple of studies out in the last year or so. British Journal of Medicine is one that comes to mind that showed, no matter when you start and how much you start, that it can have an impact on, as you say, what's going on upstairs, and adding muscle mass, helping to stabilize bone loss, helping with cholesterol and blood pressure. So even if it's just, walking in your cul-de-sac or walking around the block, and chances are if that elderly couch potato has not been walking, it's going to start, the exercise program that person is going to start, it's going to start really slowly. And that's okay. You got to start somewhere.
It's the best day to start walking is today with that first step.
That's absolutely right. And, for a lot of elderly people, part of the problem is not being out and being isolated. And if they live in a safe neighborhood, of course, to be able to walk and see your neighbors, and especially now that the weather's nicer everywhere, that in and of itself is a very important thing to do. My former mother-in-law and father-in-law, who are also almost 90, they go to Target and they walk in the department store every single day.
I would pick another department store personally, but okay, Target. It's okay.
Well, it's near their home, so
it's
inside.
They
don't have to travel far. It's inside, right? It's a big store, and that's an important thing to be doing.
Absolutely. The other day, I had spent hours, literally hours, sitting at my computer, and I needed to get out. So I drove to a local mall, and I walked one side. I walked into the mall, and I walked all around on the top floor. I felt like they used to have senior walkers in malls. I don't think they let you do that in groups anymore. Mm-hmm. But I walked through it. I passed See's Candy because they give out a free sample, and I know it was hard. It was extraordinarily hard for me to do. And then I went downstairs and I did the same route, and then I left.
Yeah, that's great. I can't do that because I'm a shopper, so I would get very distracted.
Yes, we'll have to talk about the shopping addiction at one point. And I understand that in some cases shopping can can lead to dying sooner, because if you overdo the budget, the spouse that you're anyway, there's some something there. What about diet? Let's talk about diet for a moment. We're going to take some time and then we'll be back. At 80, even if I have high cholesterol, I'm on meds, should I start watching my diet more carefully?
Yeah, well, first of all, if you have high cholesterol and you're 85 and you're not on medication, I would not recommend medication, number one. But if you are on medication and your cholesterol, you're still struggling with it, it just for general good health, getting lots of dark green leafy vegetables, eating some really good whole grain food. And really, no one needs a multivitamin more than the elderly, really.
When we come back, we'll introduce people to some leafy green vegetables. I've just recently discovered I like kale, and I'm admitting it. I'd never eaten it up until a couple of months ago. And there's another one. There's a grain with a Q. We'll think of it as we come back out. Our guest is Dr. Mickey-Barber, age management specialist, keeping us young and healthy here on Late Night Health. Join us at latenighthealth.com, latenighthealth.com. I'm Mark Alyn. Don't go away.